Enforce the fucking law. What is this nonsensical position? Enforce the law? Sorry, you can't do that. I'm Jewish and I'm doing it inside of a synagogue is a fucking ridiculous argument to make. Speaking of fucking sociopaths, here is Kirsten Gillibrand saying some incredibly racist nonsense on the Brian Layler show. Brian Layler says Zohran does not support violent jihad. Let's hear what Kirsten Gillibrand, New York senator, had to say.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call and question. I wanted to ask two very pertinent questions about the threats facing the Jewish community, unfortunately, from Zohran Mamdani. There was a bill that I was reading about that, unfortunately, he wants to target synagogues and Jewish institutions which donate to nonprofits, which are medical institutions like United Hatzalah and Magan David Adam, which is like the Jewish Red Cross. So how do we make sure that Jewish institutions are protected from his plans to punish and fine our institutions which fundraise these medical nonprofits, which do work both here in the United States and in Israel and other countries in the world? And also, how can we hold Mr. Mamdani accountable for his glorifying association of Hamas and other terror bombings of the intifada in 1990s, where over 1,000 Jewish Israelis were killed, to his revisionist Holocaust knowledge, to the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, where Jews were mass exterminated and faced threats? He compared when Jews were killed to when Jews fought back against Nazis. It's quite despicable. I'm sorry.
Gabe, thank you for your call. There's a lot in there, Senator, some of which may be inaccurate. So I don't know. I can't fact check everything in real time. But do you know any of that to be inaccurate or accurate, including the original premise that he would somehow target synagogues if they were contributing to groups like Hatzalah, ambulance services, in a way that he could hurt the synagogues? I just don't want to give out information that's false, but I also don't want to shrink from information that's true.
Well, the caller is exactly the New York constituents that I've spoken to that are alarmed. They are alarmed by past public statements. They are alarmed by past positions, particularly references to global jihad. This is a very serious issue because people that glorify the slaughter of Jews create fear in our communities. The global intifada is a statement that means destroy Israel and kill all the Jews. So these are the kinds of things that if Mr. Mamdani is elected our mayor.
He's fact checking real time. Are you fucking kidding me? What can I fact check? This is just like bile. You're asking me to fucking fact check David Duke talking about Jews, okay? Excuse me. Can you please fact check David Duke's statement about Jewish tentacles being all over, the American media and the American government? Like this is the equivalent for Muslims. This is straightforwardly the most transparent neo-Nazi ass fucking sentiment. I'll give you one fact check that's important though. So this person is asking, there was a bill that I was reading about that unfortunately he wants to target synagogues and Jewish institutions which donate to nonprofits, which are medical, right? That question is bullshit. There is no targeting of Jewish institutions. There is, however, some conversations about institutions that, religious or not, illegally engage in land sales on occupied territory in the West Bank. Institutions that support illegal land sales on illegally occupied territory in the West Bank might lose their funding.
That was beheaded. My heart broke as I saw a man hold up a child that was beheaded by the Israeli military's bombing of a tent city of Palestinian refugees. My heart broke as I saw bodies burned to a crisp, taking refuge in the place that the Israeli military had designated as a safe zone. And I asked myself, what does this have to do with us in New York? And the answer is everything. We do not have the luxury of feeling hopeless or helpless because we have the responsibility of action. Action because in this moment, New York state law allows for New Yorkers to get a tax deduction if they donate to the very kind of Israeli military units that dropped those bombs on innocent Palestinians. Today, we gather here to demand the bare minimum, which is to end tax breaks for genocide.
Yeah. If you're an institution that's like running fundraisers for the Israeli occupying force, or if you're an institution, whether you're a synagogue or a Jewish advocacy group or not, doesn't fucking matter. if you are using that institution to sell homes and sell land in the occupied West Bank directly against existing American law, directly against existing international law, if you're a church or a synagogue, doesn't fucking matter, or a mosque, really, if you're any religious institution that is using, or any institution, any 501c3, you will no longer get tax breaks. It is illegal to do this. It is illegal to do this. And yet these guys are fundraising for West Bank settlers to be armed. They are fundraising for pogroms. They are fundraising for land grabs and illegal land theft and illegal land sales. Of course they're not allowed to do that. Suck my fucking dick. Are you out of your mind? They should be in prison. In a just world, they would go to jail, okay? Not lose their fucking tax break status. Not lose their 501c3 status. They would go to jail. You should go to jail, okay? You should be imprisoned. Go ahead. Argue on the actual fucking issues. Don't make up stuff, okay? But you can't. People cannot. Here's the problem. You can't actually argue on the real reasons as to why this was a piece of legislation that was advanced. You can't argue about like how you do have a right to fucking steal land and fund the initiatives that actually do pogroms. You have a right to fucking fund the Jewish KKK in the fucking West Bank. Can you imagine being like, no, you don't understand. I think that like it literally turns into the fucking meme. Like, sorry, this is my promised land. I have to take it. And you have to give me tax breaks when I fundraise for these initiatives. Like, that's fucking insane. Everyone would look at you like you're out of your fucking mind. So that's what this first conversation was about. How do we make sure that Jewish institutions are protected from his plans to punish and fine our institutions?
Our institutions which fundraise these medical nonprofits, which do work both here in the United States and in Israel and other countries in the world. And also, how can we hold Mr. Mamdani accountable for his glorifying association of Hamas and other terror bombings of the intifada in 1990s, where over 1,000 Jewish Israelis were killed, to his...
Yeah, okay. First of all, the first intifada was fought with stones, and a shit ton more Palestinians were killed. A massive number of Palestinians were deliberately, gravely wounded, okay, by design. The second intifada was more violent, and yet, obviously, the asymmetry of casualties did not favor the Palestinian side in that one either.
His revisionist Holocaust knowledge to the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, where Jews were mass exterminated and faced threats. He compared when Jews were killed to when Jews fought back against Nazis. It's quite despicable. I'm sorry.
He compared when Jews were killed, when Jews fought back against Nazis. Quite despicable. I'm sorry. Why? Why is that despicable? Do you just think that you're a special class of person? Do you think that it's different? It is the same. Warsaw Ghetto Intifada, which is just the Arabic translation, is certainly comparable to people breaking out of the open air prison that Israel has designed for them. The only reason why you don't want this one-to-one comparison is because this time you're advocating for the Nazis in that equation. That's it. This time it's different because I like the Nazis this time. Sorry. The first intifada was not nonviolent. The first intifada was immensely violent, but for the Palestinians. The second intifada also was violent for the Palestinians.
Gabe, thank you for your call. There's a lot in there, Senator, some of which may be inaccurate. So I don't know. I can't fact check everything in real time. But do you know any of that to be inaccurate or accurate, including the original premise that he would somehow target synagogues if they were contributing to groups like Hatzalah, ambulance services, in a way that he could hurt?
I do. I already explained the context, just so you know. Now you know what the context is. The Not on Our Dime bill is about revoking the 501c3 status of institutions, groups, okay, philanthropic organizations that fundraise for the Israeli occupying force, that fundraise for West Bank settlement operations, that actually engage in illegal land theft and also illegal land sales of occupied Palestinian territory. This is a direct violation of international human rights. This is a direct violation this is a direct violation of our rights. Like in America, this is illegal, okay? This is fucking illegal. I don't give a fuck that it's like a synagogue that's doing it. It's still fucking illegal. What do you mean? Unless you think that there is a special status for Jews, and I don't, okay? Unless you think that there is a special status where Jewish advocacy groups and Jewish places of worship can do this like overwhelmingly, transparently illegal thing, it's a fucking crime. They should be going to jail, okay? People that are doing this should be going to fucking jail. So to complain about getting your 501c3 status being revoked in this process when you're doing something like that is directly fucking illegal is insane to me. You should be excited at the prospect of not having to see the inside of a fucking jail cell for doing something that is transparently illegal. Enforce the fucking law. What is this nonsensical position? Enforce the law? Sorry, you can't do that. I'm Jewish and I'm doing it inside of a synagogue is a fucking ridiculous argument to make.
The synagogues, I just don't want to give out information that's false, but I also don't want to shrink from information that's true.
Well,
yeah, if Hamas did something similar for Hamas or Hezbollah, they would be immediately sent to Guantanamo. And ironically enough, despite the designation of Hamas being a terrorist organization in the United States of America, okay, despite that designation, Hamas does have a legal right to defend the Gaza Strip. Hamas does have a legal right to defend Palestinian sovereignty under international law. Israel does not have a legal right to steal land in the West Bank and occupied Palestinian territory. What Israel is doing is illegal. What Hamas is doing outside of October 7, what Hamas is doing is literally legal. When Hamas and Al-Qassam Brigade militancy go and fucking blow up an armored personnel carrier or a fucking Merkava tank, okay, inside of the Gaza Strip, in Khan Yunis, as they did the other day, and kill 7 Israeli soldiers, that is literally fucking legal. That is not illegal. That is not only legal, but it's also moral. Okay? The people, of course, have a right to fucking defend themselves. What the fuck? You, on the other hand, do not have a right to illegally occupy the Gaza Strip as a belligerent occupier and starve the population and do a genocide. Can you imagine this kind of fucking nonsense, dude? I cannot. I just like, it's so insane. It's so insane.
The caller is exactly the New York constituents that I've spoken to that are alarmed. They are alarmed by past public statements. They are alarmed by past positions, particularly references to global jihad.
You fucking racist piece of shit. Fuck you. Fuck you. You fucking racist monster.
This is a very serious issue because people that glorify the slaughter of Jews create fear in our communities. The global intifada is a statement that means destroy Israel and kill all the Jews. So these are the kinds of things that if Mr. Mamdani is elected our mayor, we'll need to assure all New Yorkers that he will protect all Jews and protect houses of worship and protect funding for not-for-profits that meet the needs of these communities. Those are the things he'll have to do as our mayor.
He would certainly say that he has committed to protecting all Jews in New York as mayor of New York.
How is this any different than like what Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying, by the way? Like, this is Charlie Kirk. Am I listening to Charlie Kirk, or am I listening to a supposedly progressive Democratic senator from New York? It's Marjorie Taylor Greene with a fucking New York accent, basically.
As our mayor.
Yeah, he's going to do pogroms on Jews. He's going to do Kristallnacht. Disgusting.
I would certainly say that he has committed to protecting all Jews in New York as mayor of New York. Do you dispute? Do you doubt that?
Well, one of the issues I did talk to him yesterday was exactly this issue, and he has agreed to work with me on this and to protect all residents. So this is something I care deeply about, and so I will be an advocate on these issues. These are things.
Yeah, I wonder why she cares deeply about this fucking fake nonsense. Oh, that's right, because she received almost $1 million from AIPAC and the Israeli lobby. AIPAC, DMFI, and NORPAC. Just came across a quote from Senator Gillibrand on an article on AIPAC funding. I sometimes forget how dumb she is. At a private AIPAC meeting with the lawmakers last January, mega donors were upset that a few Democrat lawmakers weren't as enthusiastic about the wanton slaughter of Gaza as Gillibrand was. This was her attempt to excuse their insubordination. Addressing widespread calls for a ceasefire, Gillibrand conceded that some of the people calling for one are doing so because they want innocent lives to be protected, and then added, but they may not understand that if you call for a ceasefire, you can't get the hostages back. Fucking moron. Racist moron. This is the type of person that's leading this goddamn country, dude. This is the type of leadership in the Democratic Party. Also, Think about how psychotic this is, that she had a conversation with Zohran Mamdani. She has heard Zohran Mamdani address these things over and over again, and she still had no, like, she didn't even fucking drop a beat before calling him a fucking terrorist that wants to do global jihad, that wants to kill all Jews. Vile, monstrous piece of shit.
Things that I think are important to New Yorkers. And I will work with him when he gets elected, if he gets elected, to make sure everyone is protected. I also, on the federal level, work to get resources for all our religious sites in the state and in the city. I lead the letter for funding for I lead the letter for the funding to protect synagogues and churches and temples and places of worship across our city and state. And these are things that he has assured me in my one conversation, that he will protect everyone. But I understand why people are concerned because of past statements. And so this is just an issue that I will work.
People are concerned. Get the fuck out of here. Here is writer, editor-in-chief Ariel Angel, editor-in-chief of Jewish Current, says, infuriating. Senator Gillibrand, Jews, in quotes because there's no internal consensus, do not get a monopoly on the meaning of the words that come from the broad history of Palestinian struggle, especially when many understandings are rooted in disinfo, fear-mongering, and ignorance. Senator Gillibrand, your Palestinian American constituents deserve an apology here. Why aren't their feelings, their identity, their history important to you as your Jewish American, as important to you as your Jewish American constituents? This is an incredibly racist fucking assessment that she made here.
Work with him on, for sure.
I just feel compelled to say, we can find no evidence that he has supported Hamas or has supported violent jihad, as that caller was asserting. Can you?
Again, Brian, I don't have all the data and information, and I've never sat down with Mr. Mamdani. So I've asked to have that meeting. I'm going to have that meeting. We will talk through all these things. He can tell me his views of the world, and I can learn them firsthand. I think the reference that I had read was global intifada specifically, which has very serious meanings that are violent and destructive. So
which he says, and I pressed him on this on the show on Monday, but which he says are not calls for violence, because intifada is a much broader term involving all kinds of uprisings and resistance and things like that. So I just want to be clear about how at least he defines it. And maybe he needs to be more clear. I don't mean this. I don't mean that. He did say here that he didn't.
He has clarified 1,000,000 times over. If you don't fucking hear it, it's because you don't want to hear it, or you don't like the answer. That's what this is. I'm sick and tired of fucking entertaining the racist notions of dumb Americans, dude. Jesus Christ. There is a level that you have to reach. There is some capitulation that you have to engage in if you want to play ball in a situation like this, okay? If you're a Muslim guy, if you're a Muslim especially, there's so much fucking unchecked, unrestricted Islamophobia, unchecked racism against Muslims, the notion that like every Muslim is a secret jihadi.
I want to be the word police, even as the mayor of New York, if he's elected. But I do also want to be clear that he said he does not support violent intifada. Is that fair?
So, Brian, I didn't hear your exchange with him, but if I was speaking to him directly, I would simply say that is not how the words.
Yeah. The reason why his words are not being perceived that way by you, even though you also apparently talk to him directly, you fucking animal, is because you're racist. That's it. There's nothing he can say other than Am Israel Chai that will be appropriate and acceptable for you. That's it. Sorry, I'm a racist white woman. And I don't even think this is just because she's a racist white woman. I think it's because she's a racist white woman that's gotten $1 million from the Israel lobby.
Are received. And it doesn't matter what meaning you have in your brain. It is not how the word is received. And when you use a word like intifada.
Shut the f up. F you, dude. F you. Who the f are you? Oh, if you use a word like intifada to many Jewish Americans, you're not even Jewish, by the way. What the f are we doing? People who defend Israel literally unironically think they're more Jewish than Jewish people, okay?
Intifada. To many Jewish Americans and Jewish New Yorkers, that means you are permissive for violence against Jews. It is a serious word. It is a word that has deep meaning. It has been used for wars across time and violence and destruction and slaughter and murder against the Jews. It is a harmful, hurtful, inappropriate word for anyone who wants to represent a city as diverse as New York City with 8 million people. And I would be very specific in these words, and I would say you may not use them again if you expect.
She does sound like Candace Owens, by the way. Yes. Now I understand why you guys were saying she sounds like Candace Owens. I thought you guys were saying like her words make it seem like because she's so racist, but you actually meant like she literally sounds like Candace Owens, like her voice. And yes, I hear it too.
to represent everyone ever again because they are received as hateful and divisive and harmful. And that's it. So I appreciate that he told you he didn't mean that, and that's great. That's
and
a great place to start.
Also,
but I still don't trust him. I still don't trust him. He's Muslim, Brian. Brian, he's Muslim.